Hey everybody, good evening. I am Chuck Rogers, licensed professional counselor and licensed marriage and family therapist.
And I'm Keith Dunn, and at times I rewrite jingles.
Andy's a network engineer, and together we're Tabletop Coffee.
Yeah, where we are bold and never, ever bitter.
And tonight we're talking about stop living paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah.
Stay tuned, we'll talk about it.
So, what brought me into this, thinking about this, don't live paycheck to paycheck, or stop living paycheck to paycheck? I was in a store a couple of weeks ago, and it was around Thanksgiving time. There were a lot of people in there. And one of the workers was behind the counter, and he was saying to some of the other workers, "Do we get paid today? I know it's early, but it's around Thanksgiving, so do we get paid today?"
Which
And-
basically means
yeah.
I don't have any money.
I am broke. I've got to have some money. And the other lady said, "Yeah, I think we get paid today." And then a few minutes later, he confirmed, "Yeah, we get paid today. We get paid." So then his comment at that time was, "Oh, I can go get me a Starbucks coffee."
Oh,
You know, if you're having that much trouble sustaining your money and your income from week to week or bi-weekly or however that person was getting paid at that establishment, to where you can't even afford to go buy a coffee, should you really go buy that expensive coffee
no,
once you get your paycheck?
no, not at all.
No, there are better ways to do that.
Some people would say you shouldn't buy Starbucks coffee
Yeah.
because it tastes burned, right?
You know, I think that Starbucks coffee does taste burned
Yeah.
at times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the point is that if you're struggling that much that you can't afford a cup of coffee until after you get paid,
That's right.
then you probably shouldn't buy a Starbucks coffee, right?
No, I mean, if you start to add this up and you look at even an inexpensive cup, just a regular cup of black coffee from Starbucks is like $2.70, $3, something like that.
Yeah.
And then a lot of people are doing this, every day before they go to work.
Oh,
they're
yeah, at
driving
least once a
through.
day for some people.
But a lot of people are paying for what you call a frou-frou drink.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so they're $7, $8, $9, $10 for a frou-frou drink. You could spend anywhere from $15 to $50 or $60 a week just on coffee.
A week.
A week.
Yeah.
So you roll that out, and if it's a $15 coffee, we'll keep it simple. $60 a month,
Just for coffee.
$720 a year.
So an alternative to that would be,
Make your coffee at home.
yeah,
Take one of those weeks or two of those weeks that you would spend that money on the expensive coffee. I would say just buy you a nice little thermos, like a Yeti, something that will really keep the contents really hot
sure.
for hours and hours and hours. Make your coffee at home. Saves you a ton of money.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that happens with this, when we're talking about coffee, but you could extrapolate that to any other thing at all.
Yeah, that's
Now,
right.
coffee's a good one because it's not a lot of money, is what
Yeah.
people say.
Yeah,
And
that's right.
I worked hard and I earned this and
deserve
I deserve this kind of thing. This is I don't take vacations or something like that.
Yeah.
I'm not extravagant, but this is my treat. This is what I do for myself. So I think what it is people are actually writing themselves a license, giving themselves permission
Yeah, that's a good way to
to
look at it.
continue to live paycheck by paycheck.
Yeah, and this is one thing that Dave Ramsey talks about, and I agree with a lot of things that Dave Ramsey talks about, except the credit card.
Right.
We talked about that.
We did.
I'll put that up there so you can go watch that if you would like to see that one. But he actually talks about that and being a good steward of your money. And the end goal is to be such a good steward of your money that you have extra so that you're able to help other people.
Yeah.
And I think that's a great way to look at things.
That's the goal.
Yeah.
And you can't get there if you
No.
continue to give yourself a license, give yourself permission to continue to live beyond your means.
Yeah.
And doing things like this will keep you in bondage, living paycheck to paycheck. And it's difficult to say no because I just want to run through Starbucks
Yeah,
and
that's
get a
right.
drink. And there's
Yeah.
nothing really wrong with it,
No, it's not.
but it's going to keep you in bondage.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking too, another thing that people do oftentimes that keep themselves in this poverty mentality
Right.
is eating out.
Yeah. Big
It's
expense there.
expensive. How much is it going to cost if you do a fast food?
Yeah, even McDonald's has gotten up to $7 or $8 now.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people out there who are living paycheck to paycheck
Right.
who eat there at least once per day.
Yeah, that's right. They just add that into what they're going to do for their week. But it's so much less expensive to make you a sandwich
It really
and
is.
take it with you, or get what you need to make your own salad. You can cut the cost down, and really you're paying 20-30%
Oh yeah.
if you're doing it yourself.
Yeah,
a lot of times.
and you and I aren't in this place now where we're living
Right.
paycheck to paycheck,
No.
but we have been there.
I was there.
Yeah, and I think you and I both did. We made sacrifices to take our lunch, to
Yeah.
to not purchase expensive coffees.
That's
And
right.
one of the things that went through my head was, I'm working at this job, making this much money. How many minutes or how many hours am I going to
that's
have to
right.
work in order to pay for this luxury, this extravagance?
That's true.
And I didn't like the answer that I gave to myself.
No. And if you look at it that way, that's really a great way to look at it. And I used to look at it that way when I was working, 3 jobs, and Lisa and I were just starting out, because you are looking at it and saying, oh, well, we go out to eat and it's going to cost us, this was a good while ago, but it's going to cost us $20 for the two of us to go out to eat, which would be $50 now. And then you look at, oh, I have to work that long in order to cover that. Well, maybe there's a better way to do that than start saving, putting away, getting everything paid off so you're in a better place later in life. Yeah, and that's the main goal, is to get to a place where you're a good steward with your money.
So how do you go then from living paycheck to paycheck,
Right?
living in these ruts,
Yeah.
and get yourself into a different place? I mean, you're a money guy.
am
You're
a
a
money guy.
numbers guy. What's your thought? Because I know there are people out there who are listening to this, going, "I'm
Right.
there, and I don't really see a way for it to be different." So, what's a takeaway or some takeaways that people could latch onto?
So I think you have a few options here, and you really have to have self-control. Is one option. You either go down the road of self-control and knowing that there is a better way to get to that point where you have money set aside so you're not living that paycheck to paycheck. Or for a certain amount of time, you really buckle down, maybe take on another job, or
2 or 3.
yeah. I mean, like I said, when Lisa and I started out, I was working 3 jobs. I would start at 4 in the morning doing a paper route.
Yeah.
Then I would go and do furniture upholstery. And then I would be working on the computer business that I was trying to build. So it was early morning, late night for about a year and a half. It took me about a year and a half to get to a point where I was doing just one job. But it was big sacrifice,
It was.
but it got us where we are now.
Yeah. So sometimes you have to eat beans for a while.
We did.
Yeah.
Yeah. We ate beans and worked a lot.
Yeah. So I think one of the things people can do too is to sit down with somebody that they trust
That's a good idea.
and have a conversation like this.
Right.
I mean, we're big on this: confess your faults one to another so
Yes.
that you can be healed.
Yeah,
Or
absolutely.
my version is keep it
That's
to
right.
yourself so that you can remain sick. And
That's good.
And in this particular instance, I think we could say, keep it to yourself and remain paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah.
So
That's true.
having a conversation is helpful, and then you can have the other person to brainstorm with you about
Right.
things to try. Maybe you get somebody who's just like you and just in the same place and say, I know you struggle with this too. You know, you
Right.
live poverty, you live paycheck to paycheck in this poverty mentality.
Right.
Let's come up with some ideas to get us both out.
Yeah.
Or maybe you know somebody who
Can mentor.
can mentor you, yes,
Right.
and is doing really well. You know, if you want somebody has, you go where they go, do what they do, and you read what they read.
Yeah,
Ask for
that's
their
right.
help and to say, I really struggle in this area. I don't think that you do. Can you help me come up with some ideas in order to be different and begin
Right.
to write down some of these very simple ideas?
Sure.
And I know they sound simple, and I
They
know,
do.
you know, but boy, if you start down this track, I think what happens is you get some momentum here, and you get some momentum here, and you get
Right.
some momentum here, and pretty soon
Yeah.
you're in a very different place. And I don't think it has to take all that long. I
No, I
mean,
don't think so.
it was a year and a half in the middle of it for you.
Oh,
It-
yeah.
It felt long, but now you look
Right.
at it, it's like, well, you can do anything for a year and a half.
Sure you can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think the first thing to do is to start having a conversation with somebody, get somebody else on
I think
board,
that's a great idea.
and then start coming up with some ideas.
Yeah. That's great, and we would like to hear from you
Oh,
on
that'd be
this
great,
as
yes.
well. Be sure and put comments down below if you're struggling with this,
Mm-hmm.
or if you have some thoughts that could be beneficial for other people who might be in this same spot.
Absolutely. Hey, if you liked our content, would you please subscribe? We would really appreciate that.
Yeah, it doesn't cost you a penny. Just click that subscribe button. Isn't that great?
It is wonderful, and make sure to like it.
Yeah, share it with your friends.
Thanks, everybody.
Till next time. Oh, come on. You know, it's not that bad.
No, it's terrible.
Don't you, can't you see the guy with the horn?
Recorda.
Recorda.
That is so bad. That's terrible.
I'm going to add the little guy with the horn over there in the Swiss Alps with his funky little hat on and his little...
I remember when those, they came out in like the 70s, was it?
Yeah, I think so.
And they had the
Ricola.
big horn out there.
Yeah. You know, they did a good job of helping that stick. It's not something you ever forget.
No, it's terrible.
After, you know, you have that Ricola sound in your head for years
It
and
did.
years and years.
All these years later.